The moment you walk into a room, someone is already reading you. Your body, your voice, your silence, your hesitation. You think you're safe because you didn't say much. Wrong. You already said everything. Machiavelli knew the truth. Power doesn't begin with control. It begins with observation. The one who sees through others wins. The one who gets seen first loses. You think reading people is a soft skill. Think again. It's a weapon. And most people are unarmed. You trust smiles. You believe tone. You think kindness means safety. But in Machiavelli's world, every smile is currency. Every silence is a trap. And every "I'm fine" is a mask built to survive. This is not about empathy. This is about psychological dominance. You are surrounded by performers. Some crave approval. Some fear exposure. Some just want control. And the worst part, they don't even know it. But you're here to change that. Because once you learn how to read them, not just their words, but their patterns, their reactions, their shadows, you own the game. This is not a list of tricks. This is a new set of eyes. 18 psychological tactics, each one built to expose the animal behind the mask. You will not ask. You will provoke. You will not guess. You will extract. You will not wait. You will read. And then you will steer. Because in a world full of liars, the most dangerous person is the one who sees clearly. So now I ask you, before we begin, are you the one who reads? Or the one who's been read all along? Tactic 1. Watch the invisible. You want to know who they really are. Don't watch how they treat you. That's easy to fake. Watch how they treat the one who means nothing to them. The waiter, the janitor, the assistant. People perform for power, but they relax around weakness. That's when the mask slips. Machiavelli didn't judge character by words. He judged it by what happens when nobody is watching. Here's why this works. When someone knows you're important, they activate their best self. But when they think someone's beneath them, they stop pretending. If they mock the powerless, what do you think they'll do to you once your value drops? If they speak over the quiet, what do you think they'll do when your voice shakes? If they forget the names of those beneath them, they'll forget their promises to you. 2. Watch the invisible, because that's where real power hides. And where fake loyalty dies. Never forget, the moment someone thinks you no longer benefit them, you will meet their real self. Tactic 2. Use silence as a weapon. Most people aren't talking to express. They're talking to protect. Because silence is uncomfortable. It leaves them naked. Say less. Let your pauses bite. Let the quiet become loud. People fear silence because it makes them feel seen. And most people don't want to be seen without a script. When you stop talking, you shift the frame. They fill the gap with explanations, excuses, confessions they didn't mean to give. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He used silence not as absence, but as psychological pressure. The more they speak, the more they reveal, and the less you react, the more they panic. Silence isn't just a weapon, it's a mirror, and most people can't survive their reflection. Want to know who's insecure in a room? Say nothing, and see who starts unraveling. Tactic 3. Offer nothing, give them nothing. No smile, no approval, no confirmation, just presence. Still, unreadable, immovable. When you give nothing, you force them to show everything. Watch. Do they lean in harder? Desperate to please? They're validation addicts. Do they grow cold? As if you owe them something. They only showed warmth when they saw benefit. Do they remain calm? Unshaken. You've found someone with emotional control, which makes them potentially dangerous. Machiavelli knew one brutal truth. People don't treat you based on who you are. They treat you based on what they think they can extract. So the moment you remove benefit, you expose their blueprint. This isn't just defense. It's data collection. And once you see their programming, you can decide exactly what input to feed them to get the output you want. Don't offer value too early. Make them show who they are without reward. That's the version that's real. 3 tactics. That's all it takes to start breaking the mask. Not with force, but with absence, with pressure, with silence. Because most people aren't afraid of being judged. They're afraid of being seen. Tactic 4. Interrupt their script. Some people are dangerous, not because they're loud, but because they're rehearsed. They know what to say, how to say it, how to win your approval without revealing anything real. They've built a personality, not a self, a mask, refined over time. So what do? You break the script. Ask a question they didn't expect. Pause where they expect praise. Smile when they try guilt. Stay quiet when they ramp up their charm. Watch how they flinch, how they overcorrect, how their tone changes. That's not a mistake. That's truth escaping. Because when the performance gets interrupted, the real actor gets exposed. Machiavelli knew the most controlled person is also the most fragile. The longer the performance, the harder they fall when you push just one line out of place. You don't need to be aggressive. You just need to be unpredictable. And that unpredictability will unravel their entire act. Tactic 5. Test loyalty with small losses. Loyalty is not proven in good times. It's revealed when something is taken away. A small request denied. A message left unread. A favor withdrawn. Then you watch. You say nothing. And they'll show you everything. Do they remain calm? Respectful? That's rare. Do they shift? Go cold? Talk behind your back? Then congratulations. You just dodged a bullet. Machiavelli would test the people around him. Not by rewarding them, but by saying no when they expected yes. Because the most dangerous loyalty is the one that disappears the moment you stop feeding it. If they only love you when you say yes, they don't love you. They love the access. This tactic isn't about punishing others. It's about seeing who believes the bond was ever real in the first place. Tactic 6. Track their focus. Not their words. Wordsly. Focus doesn't. While they're speaking, you should be watching. Not their mouth. Not their message. But their attention. Do they glance at people with power when they speak? They crave validation from status. Do they ignore those with no influence? They respect advantage, not integrity. Do they check their phone mid-conversation? You're replaceable. Do they mirror your tone? Your posture? Your phrases? They're playing to win favor, not connect. Here's the real game. People invest their attention into what they value. You don't need to ask what they care about. Just watch where their eyes go when no one's watching them. Machiavelli didn't listen to what people said. He tracked where they invested attention. Because attention is currency. And once you know where they spend it, you know what they truly worship. The person who listens with their ears gets the surface. The one who watches their eyes controls the outcome. These 3 tactics are not about confrontation. They're about friction. You interrupt. You deny. You observe. And they will fill the silence with exactly what you came for. Because most people don't break when attacked. They break when their pattern no longer works. Tactic 7. Fake a flaw. Watch their reaction. People pretend to like honesty. But in truth, they scan every vulnerability for potential leverage. So here's what you do. Invent a weakness. Something harmless. Something human. I tend to overthink. I sometimes avoid confrontation. I used to be too trusting. Then, observe. Silently. Do they repeat it later to undermine you? They're opportunistic. They store information like a dagger and smile while sharpening it. Do they ignore it entirely? They're cautious. Maybe even dangerous. Because they never react until the advantage is clear. Do they share a weakness in return? They crave connection and just revealed their own pressure point. Machiavelli wouldn't confess real flaws. He offered bait because false weakness triggers real reactions and keeps your armor intact. This is warfare with no risk. You sacrifice nothing, and yet you expose everything. Weak people try to impress. Strategists observe what others do when they smell blood. Tactic 8. Make them wait. Time is power, and power is proven in how people handle delay. So delay on purpose. Answer. Slower. Show less urgency. Break the rhythm. Then watch. Do they over-apologize? They're insecure. Do they get angry? They believe access is a right. Do they withdraw entirely? They were never stable to begin with. Machiavelli delayed strategically because every second of silence makes the other person question their place in your world. And people don't fear distance. They fear what it means. The mind of a manipulator races. Did he lose value? Did I say something wrong? Am I being replaced? And that spiral. That's when they show their hand. Entitlement can't survive uncertainty. So create it. Then watch the ones who stay grounded. And the ones who crack. The easiest way to provoke a reaction is to remove attention and say nothing. Tactic 9. Watch who they copy. No one is original. We all mirror. But who someone copies tells you what they're chasing. Watch their speech, their clothes, their rhythm. Do they imitate the powerful? They want control. The popular. They want approval. The moral. They want to appear righteous. Even if they're not. Machiavelli believed you could learn more from someone's imitation than from their confession. Because imitation is subconscious ambition. It leaks through tone, posture, phrases. They don't mean to reveal it, but they can't help it. And once you know who they want to be, you can play the role they're searching for, or become the obstacle they're trying to surpass. Here's the real twist. You don't need to be their idol. Just become the gatekeeper between them and that ideal. They'll serve you without knowing why. If someone copies, they are looking for someone to follow. Make sure it's you. These tactics don't require shouting, just subtle shifts, calculated delays, controlled silence. Because when you activate the beast, you don't just see who they are, you see what they fear and what they worship. Tactic 10. Trigger envy. Watch the flicker. You don't need to insult them. You don't need to brag. Just mention a small win. A subtle compliment someone gave you. An opportunity you didn't chase, but still received. Then, pause. Watch. Do they smile too fast? Do their eyes flick away? Do they change the subject a second too soon? That's not discomfort. That's envy. And envy, Machiavelli warned, is the most silent form of sabotage. The envious don't confront you. They wait. They gather. They withhold. They aim low. They cut sideways, because envy is never loud. It's patient. It's strategic. It's disguised as friendship. But once you see it flicker, once you see the smirk hide a dagger, you never forget it. Never confuse support with celebration. Most people clap because they're supposed to, not because they mean it. And the ones who envy you will always disguise it until it's too late. Tactic 11. Ask what they hate. Everyone claims to stand for something, but they reveal more when they say what they stand against. So don't ask what they admire. That's easy to fake. Ask instead, what kind of people disgust you? What's one trait you can't stand? What do you judge instantly? Now listen, not to the surface, but to the subtext. The man who hates arrogance is often the one starving for respect. The woman who can't stand liars is lying to herself daily. The person who despises weakness was punished for showing any. Machiavelli's law. What they judge in others is often what they haven't healed in themselves. You're not just hearing words. You're listening to repression. So when someone criticizes others, ask, what are they projecting? What part of themselves have they rejected and now punish in everyone else? Don't argue. Don't correct them. Just take note. That's where the manipulation begins. Tactic 12. Watch when their eyes break. The mouth lies. The face pretends. But the eyes, they flee from the truth. Mention shame. Mention status. Mention failure. Mention power. Then, hold eye contact. Do they blink? Rapidly. Look down. Glance sideways. Go still. You just hit something buried. Something unspoken. And that's where Machiavelli's brilliance shines. He didn't need people to confess. He needed them to flinch. Where the eyes break, the fear begins. The human mind can armor words, but the eyes, they always seek an exit when truth hits too close. So track the escape, not the answer, because the mind protects, but the gaze betrays. These three tactics expose what people hide best: their quiet envy, their hidden contradictions, their deepest wound. You don't need to humiliate them. You just need to look where it hurts, while everyone else looks where it shines. Tactic 13. Mirror them. Subtly. Then watch them break. Most people are not being themselves. They're being who they think you want them to be. A version they've crafted, polished, curated, safe. So how do you break that armor? Not with force, with reflection. Match their tone, their body language, their rhythm, but just enough. Never make it obvious. When they lean in, you lean slightly. When they lower their voice, you follow. When they speak with certainty, you return it, calmly. And then you pause. Now observe, do they become louder? They're trying to reclaim control. Do they retreat? They're unsettled by their own reflection. Do they escalate? Turn sharper, more intense. They've realized you've taken control without touching them. Why does this work? Because mirroring bypasses logic and hits the unconscious. It triggers something ancient. Recognition, familiarity, threat. You're no longer just someone they talk to. You've become a version of themselves they didn't authorize. And the closer your reflection, the more distorted they become. This is psychological friction, and most people can't handle it. The more someone shifts when you mirror them, the more they were performing, and once they feel their own illusions slip, you own the room. Tactic 14. Disarm with respect. Then strike. Everyone expects to be judged. That's why they come armored. with excuses, with logic, with filters. So what do? You do the opposite. You compliment them, not falsely, strategically. You seem composed. You strike me as someone who doesn't flinch easily. You clearly think deeply before you speak. Then, once they've lowered the shield, you strike. But when did you learn to fake confidence so well? What's the fear you're avoiding with all that certainty? Who are you performing for when you say that they won't see it coming? They thought you were safe. They thought you admired them. And that is your greatest weapon. Praise softens ego, and ego craves praise. That craving creates vulnerability, and vulnerability opens the gate. Machiavelli never fought people where they were strong. He led them into safety, then collapsed the floor. People reveal more when they feel admired than when they feel attacked. So admire them, but never believe the mask. Only admire to open the door you plan to breach. These tactics are not loud. They're elegant, surgical, disturbing. Because when you reflect someone deeply enough, they can no longer separate what's real from what's performed. And when you praise them deeply enough, they hand you the keys to their mind in exchange for a smile. Tactic 15. Say no. Then watch what stays. People can fake loyalty. They can fake friendship, even love. But no one can fake their reaction to rejection. So here's the move. Say no to something small. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Just remove the yes they were expecting. Then sit still. Let them show you everything. Do they remain respectful? Do they act as if nothing changed? That's rare. That's power. But if they flinch, if they distance themselves, talk behind your back, guilt trip you, or go quiet, you've just triggered the truth. Machiavelli's law. Rejection isn't punishment. It's revelation. Here's why it works. Most people don't want you. They want what comes through you. Access, status, comfort, resources. When those benefits are cut, so is the performance. You don't need a big betrayal to know someone's nature. Just say no and look closely, because true character is never revealed in what they receive. It's revealed in what they do when they don't. This tactic is how you categorize people, not by what they say, but by how they react when the game no longer benefits them. Tactic 16. Detect their target audience. Most people aren't talking to you, even when they are. They're performing for someone they admire, someone they fear, someone they hope is watching. So your job is to ask, who are they really talking to? If they over-explain, they're performing for judgment. If they moralize every word, they're hoping to be seen as righteous. If they joke constantly, they're scared of silence. Even praise is rarely just for you. It's to position themselves as someone who gets it, someone who belongs, someone to be liked. And once you identify who they're trying to impress, you identify who truly owns them. Machiavelli never asked, "Do they like me?" He asked, "Who else do they want approval from?" And that told him who really held the strings, because no one speaks without intent, and intent is never neutral. Here's how you weaponize this. Once you detect their invisible audience, you can become it. Reflect the tone they want, then redirect it, or position yourself as an obstacle between them and their imagined ideal. Either way, you steer them without resistance. Because the human mind doesn't crave truth. It craves reinforcement. With these two tactics, you don't just read people. You place them, you rank them, you frame their world, without them ever realizing it. Because once you know who they become when they're denied, and who they talk to when they think you're not listening, you know exactly how to own the ending of their story. Tactic 17. Feed their identity. Then rewire it. People don't act from logic. They act from identity. And the most powerful influence comes not from pushing them, but from pulling them deeper into who they believe they are. Let them talk. Let them define themselves. I value loyalty above all. I don't play politics. I'm the kind of person who never gives up. Good. Take mental notes. That's your script now. Because once someone declares their identity, they'll do anything to stay consistent with it. And Machiavelli knew the fastest way to control someone is to confirm their illusion. Then steer it. Try this. You're the kind of person who sees through manipulation. So I trust you'll spot the risks in this plan. You hate dishonesty. That's why I wanted to bring you the truth first. You always deliver under pressure, which is why this task needs your signature. You're not asking, you're not convincing, you're reaffirming. And no one resists reinforcement. Why does this work? Because identity is a prison people lock themselves inside. With pride, they will act out that story, even if it destroys them, just to stay consistent. So, give them the story. Then write the ending for them. Silently. Tactic 18. Let them win first. Then own the ending. Everyone wants to feel powerful, even when they're not. So let them win. At first, let them suggest the plan. Let them speak first in the meeting. Let them get the credit. Then, shape the result quietly. Redirect the narrative. Pull the strings from behind the curtain. Machiavelli never needed to be the face of the idea. He preferred to be the architect behind it. Because people defend what they think they created. They commit harder when they believe they're in charge. Let them plant the seed. You control the soil, the water, the sun. You own the harvest. This isn't deception. It's design. Here's the real tactic. Make them believe it was their idea. Let them lead the dance. You choose the music. By the time they realize where you've taken them, they'll already be invested, committed, loyal, not because you forced them, but because you let them believe they were never being led. This is obedience without orders, loyalty without threat, surrender without resistance. And it works because the ego is hungry. And you fed it. These two final tactics don't dominate through pressure. They dominate through illusion. You let them wear the crown, while you rewrite the kingdom. This is influence at the highest level. Because real control doesn't look like control. It looks like freedom. You didn't come here for motivation. You came for clarity, for the edge, for the strategy no one talks about. And now you have it. 18 psychological weapons, each one designed to slice beneath the surface, to see what they don't want seen. You've learned how to read people, not their words, but their instincts, their cracks, their cowardice. You've seen how they perform strength, signal virtue, beg for validation. And now, you face a decision. What will you do with this power? Because that's what this is. Power. Not loud, not flashy, not public. Silent power. The kind Machiavelli admired. The kind that rewrites entire rooms without raising a voice. You now see through people. That smile, that apology, that confidence. You know exactly what's beneath it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You won't fall for the act. You won't mistake attention for respect. You won't confuse noise with power. You'll pause, observe, and pull the right string at the right moment. That's what separates pawns from players. Players from rulers. Machiavelli didn't ask, "How do you become liked?" He asked, "How do you become necessary?" And reading people is the first step. Now, you don't chase approval. You let them reveal themselves. And when they do, you don't flinch. You file. You categorize. You wait. And when the time comes, you move once. Just once. But it's enough to shift the entire game. So let me ask you something. Which tactic struck the deepest nerve? Which moment made you realize, "I've seen this"? Or worse, "I've done this"? Drop it in the comments. Let others wonder if you're talking about them, or about yourself. Because this isn't over. This is the start of seeing the world without its filters. You are no longer the performer. You're the mirror. You reflect, and they shatter. And that is why the most powerful person in the room isn't the one who speaks. It's the one who doesn't need to. You know who that is now. You. So take this video, re-watch it, share it with someone who still believes the mask is real. And when you walk into the next room, don't introduce yourself. Observe. Smile. Say little. Let them try to read you. And when they fail, you know you've already won. Because the final tactic, the one I didn't say until now, is this: become unreadable, while reading everyone else. That's not magic. That's strategy. And you've just been trained. Now go. Use it. But use it with precision. Like a knife. Or a crown. Your move.